I mentioned Key Vault already in the introduction. It's important to understand that secrets always leak, right? So you want to have as few people responsible for secrets as possible, because as soon as you tell something to someone, the risk, increases by a big factor. And we know that on GitHub you have tons, for example, of SSH keys, which are on GitHub, and they shouldn't be there because it's a secret. You don't want your organization's secret to end up on a public GitHub repository, okay? That leads to being really not very happy, as you can see here. So this is why we have Key Vault as a service. So this is a service which runs next to your applications, all right, next to your data. It's going to help you manage secrets. For example, SQL connection strings, but also username and passwords, storage account keys, and even things like certificates, TLS, SSL, encryption keys, if you want to encrypt and decrypt your data. And this is a central location with a central management team, somebody that you really trust, and these secrets can be then used by multiple applications. So you can have, for example, the connection string in one location, but you can have 2, 3, 4 web applications using it. You can have a totally different person managing and monitoring the secret. So again, it's role-based access control, okay? And then you can have your developers accessing the secret from their application, but without ever seeing or managing the secret. So it's very, very convenient. And I want to show you in the demo how you can do that. So in this demo, we are going to configure the application for monitoring. Then we are going to move the connection string to Key Vault, and then I'll show you how you can scale up and scale out, as well as, of course, scale down and in again when you are done with the demand. So we are back in the Azure portal, okay? And again, pretty much everything I do in the Azure portal, you can always do with the Azure CLI, the command line interaction. We can do it in Bash, in PowerShell, with scripts if you have a preferred scripting environment. Some operations can even be done directly from Visual Studio Code or from Visual Studio, etc., etc. But here we are in the portal, and so I'm going to show you here a little bit more about this app service. But first of all, let's go into application insights, and as you can see, it's not turned on right now. All right, I didn't specify that it should be turned on by default, so we are going to turn it on right now, and from this moment we are going to start recording data. Now this is really very powerful, and notice that I didn't need to change anything in my code, all right, and I'm already going to start collecting data, things like performance information, snapshot debugger. We'll talk more about that in the last session. It's about debugging in production, SQL commands. And if you are running your website with Node.js or with Java, for example, then we also have an SDK, and in .NET as well, you can use the SDK to add custom events to your application. For example, if you want to have some special information logged, etc., or maybe some performance information. All right, so we are creating the application insights instance. When it is done, we will go to check the data, but of course at this time we don't have any data. We literally just turned on the collection. But good to know that on application insight in the dashboard you have some graphs. You can pin those graphs to your own Azure dashboard if you want to have a good view. All right, you can also see all kinds of things like performance, critical issues, etc. We'll talk more about that in the last session of this learning path. For now, I want to move the connection string. This is really bothering me that literally everyone who has access to the app service portal here can see the connection string. Not the users, of course, this is secure, but all the developers. And so I want to move that to Key Vault, and to do that I'm going to start by giving an identity to my application. I'm going to basically allow the application to impersonate a user, to say, all right, I am a user with rights and I have access to certain services. As you see, this is very easy to do. It's actually managed by Azure Active Directory. So like this, now we have what we call a security principle that was created in Azure AD. And now we will go to the resource group, and we're going to create the Key Vault, and then we will configure it so that my app service can have access to the Key Vault. So let's go to the marketplace. Just like before, I will have to enter some information for the Key Vault, things like the subscription in which it's going to be billed. As a resource group, I'm going to use the same group, the name, of course. Then you want the region for